Single dad Janitor sang a lullaby to calm crying alien twins, unaware the Empress was listening. Before we dive into this story, drop a quick hi in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. It really helps support the channel. Far above Earth, aboard the majestic diplomatic vessel of the Ventari Empire, Marcus Dean pushed his cleaning cart through the gleaming corridors, a man caught between two worlds and carrying the weight of both on his shoulders. Marcus wiped sweat from his brow as he maneuvered his cleaning cart down the immaculate corridors of the Ventari diplomatic vessel. The ship had been in Earth's orbit for 6 months now, part of the ongoing diplomatic mission following humanity's first contact with the highly advanced alien civilization. As the night shift janitor assigned to the Royal Quarters section, Marcus had grown accustomed to the strange angles of alien architecture and the subtle lavender scent that permeated the air. 8 more hours, then home to Lily, he whispered to himself, checking his watch. His daughter would be asleep when he got home, but he always made sure to be there when she woke up. Since his wife Emma's death 3 years ago, their morning ritual had become sacred. Breakfast together before school, no matter how exhausted he was from his night shift. Marcus had never planned to work on an alien vessel. With a background in music education, he had once taught elementary school choir. But when budget cuts eliminated his position and Emma's medical bills piled up, he'd taken whatever work he could find. After her passing, the janitorial position on the Ventari ship offered nearly double the pay of other side jobs, enough to keep their small apartment and save for Lily's future. The comm unit on his cart beeped with a message from his supervisor. "Dean, we've got a situation in conference room C12. Someone spilled nutrient solution all over. Priority clean, diplomatic meeting in 2 hours." Marcus sighed. "On my way." He turned his cart around, heading for the elevator to the conference level. As the elevator ascended, he watched through its transparent walls as Earth came into view, a blue marble against the backdrop of stars. Somewhere down there, his 8-year-old daughter was sleeping under the care of Mrs. Patel, their elderly neighbor. The doors opened to the conference level, quieter than the bustling diplomatic sections he usually cleaned during the day. As he pushed his cart towards C12, a sound caught his attention, a high-pitched, distressed keening coming from one of the royal chambers. Marcus hesitated. The royal quarters were strictly off-limits to maintenance staff unless specifically summoned. But the sound continued, rising in pitch and urgency. It didn't sound like adult Ventari. It sounded like children in distress. After a moment's hesitation, Marcus approached the door, which slid open automatically. The royal authorization system must have been disabled. Inside, the dimly lit chamber was opulent by human standards, with flowing fabric decorations in deep purples and blues. In the center of the room was a hovering crib platform, where 2 small Ventari infants thrashed in obvious distress. Marcus looked around nervously. "Hello? Is anyone here?" His voice echoed in the chamber. No response came, save for the increasingly frantic cries of the twins. He knew he should call security or find a Ventari caretaker. Being discovered in the royal quarters uninvited could cost him his job or worse. But the babies, barely the size of human 3-month-olds, with their characteristic iridescent skin and large amber eyes, were clearly in distress. Marcus approached the crib cautiously. "Hey there, little ones," he said softly. "Where's your caretaker, huh?" The Ventari infants turned toward his voice, their wailing momentarily subsiding as they observed him with wide eyes. Their skin, normally a gentle blue-green, had darkened to a deep navy, a sign of distress, according to the cultural briefings all human staff received. Marcus spotted an environmental control panel flashing red. The atmospheric regulation for the room had malfunctioned, causing the humidity to drop far below what was comfortable for Ventari physiology. He quickly adjusted the settings to restore proper humidity levels, but the damage was done. The twins were agitated and upset. "It'll take a while for the room to adjust," he murmured. The infants began their keening again, their tiny arms reaching upward. Marcus recognized the universal gesture of babies everywhere. They wanted to be held. He hesitated. Human Ventari physical contact protocols were strict, but these were clearly royal children left alone in a malfunctioning room. Where were their guardians? Where was their security? Making a decision, Marcus gently lifted one of the twins, cradling it as he would a human infant. The baby's skin was cool to the touch and slightly damp, like handling a delicate frog. Its wailing subsided slightly at his touch. Encouraged, Marcus carefully picked up the second twin with his other arm. "There we go," he said soothingly. "Just like my Lily when she was little. You two are having a rough night, aren't you?" The twins' crying continued, but seemed less frantic now. Their large eyes fixed on Marcus with an intelligence that unnerved him slightly. Ventari children developed cognitive abilities much faster than human babies. "What would help you sleep, huh?" Marcus began to rock gently from side to side, a motion that had always soothed Lily. The babies quieted further but remained agitated, their skin still a dark navy blue. Without thinking, Marcus began to hum, a lullaby he had sung to Lily countless times. "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" had been her favorite, though he had composed his own verses over the years. The twins became still, their enormous eyes fixed on his face. Encouraged, Marcus began to sing softly, his voice a gentle baritone that filled the royal chamber. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is gone, when there's nothing to shine upon, then you show your little light. Twinkle, twinkle all the night." The Ventari twins' skin began to lighten, shifting from dark navy to their normal blue-green. Their eyes, impossibly large and amber-colored, began to drift closed. Marcus continued, adding verses he had created for Lily. "Twinkle, twinkle, precious one. You're my daughter, you're my son. Through the darkness, through the night, you will always be my light. No matter where the stars may roam, you will always guide me home." The twins were nearly asleep now, their breathing synchronizing with the rhythm of his song. Marcus continued to rock them gently, a bittersweet smile on his face as he thought of all the nights he had spent singing Lily to sleep after Emma died, both of them finding comfort in the ritual. In this vast and endless space, filled with stars and time and grace, none shine brighter, none so fair, as the love that we both share. So rest your eyes and dream away, until the dawn of brand new day. As the final notes of his lullaby faded, Marcus noticed the room's humidity had returned to normal levels. The twins were now completely asleep, their skin a peaceful, luminescent aqua. He carefully placed them back in their floating crib, making sure they were secure. "Sleep tight, little ones," he whispered, backing away slowly. He needed to get out before someone found him there, and he still had to clean that conference room. As Marcus turned to leave, the door slid open. Silhouetted in the doorway stood a tall Ventari female, her formal attire and elaborate head crest marking her as high-ranking. Behind her stood 4 royal guards, their expressions unreadable. Marcus froze, his heart pounding. I'm sorry," he stammered. "The environmental controls malfunctioned, and the children were distressed. The Ventari female raised her hand, silencing him. With fluid grace, she entered the room and approached the sleeping twins. After examining them and the environmental control panel, she turned to Marcus. "You are the human maintenance worker," she said, her voice melodic with the distinctive Ventari accent. "Yes, ma'am. Marcus Dean, night shift janitor for this section. I heard them crying and the door was open." "You sang to them," she interrupted, her large eyes studying him intently. Marcus swallowed hard. "Yes, it's a lullaby from Earth. I used to sing it to my daughter. I didn't mean any disrespect." "You have offspring?" the Ventari asked. "A daughter. She's 8. The Ventari approached him, towering nearly a foot above his 6-foot frame. "Your voice contains harmonic frequencies that induce a calming neurological response in Ventari physiology," she stated matter-of-factly. "Few humans possess this ability." Marcus wasn't sure how to respond. "I'm a former music teacher," he offered weakly. "I see." The Ventari glanced back at the sleeping twins. "These children are the heirs of House Zolarix. They are significant to our people." Marcus felt his blood run cold. House Zolarix was the ruling family of the entire Ventari Empire, which meant these weren't just any royal children. They were the most important Ventari offspring in existence. I didn't know, he whispered. I would never have. Your intervention was. The Ventari paused, seeming to search for the right word, appropriate. Their caretaker was summoned away urgently, and the environmental malfunction was unexpected. Relief flooded through Marcus. Thank you for understanding. I should get back to my assigned duties now. The Ventari tilted her head. What is your designation within the human hierarchy? I'm a janitor, Marcus replied, gesturing to his uniform. I clean the diplomatic sections and royal guest quarters. Before this occupation, I was a music teacher for young children. Budget cuts at the school forced me to find other work. The Ventari's eyes widened slightly, the equivalent of surprised shock in their species. You educated offspring in auditory communication patterns, yet now you remove waste materials? Marcus gave a tired smile. I do what I need to for my daughter. My wife died 3 years ago. Cancer. The medical bills were substantial. This job pays better than teaching did. The Ventari was silent for a long moment, her large eyes unblinking. I see, she finally said. You may return to your duties, Marcus Dean. Marcus nodded respectfully and backed out of the room, retrieving his cleaning cart from the hallway. As the door slid closed, he exhaled shakily. He had expected to be reprimanded or worse, but instead, the encounter had ended almost amicably. He hurried to conference room C-12, hoping his supervisor hadn't noticed his detour. As he worked to clean up the spilled nutrient solution, a viscous, sweet-smelling liquid used in Ventari diplomatic meetings, he couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had just happened. By the time his shift ended at 6 a.m. Earth time, Marcus had nearly convinced himself the entire encounter had been less important than it seemed. He clocked out, changed into his civilian clothes, and boarded the transport shuttle that would take him back to Earth. As the shuttle descended through the atmosphere, Marcus gazed out the window at the dawning sky. He would be home just in time to make Lily breakfast before school. Today was pancake day, her favorite. He closed his eyes, exhausted but content that he had avoided a diplomatic incident and could return to his normal routine. He had no way of knowing that the Ventari female he had encountered was not simply a royal attendant or diplomat. She was Empress Zolarix herself, ruler of 18 star systems and mother of the twin heirs, and she had watched from a hidden alcove as a human janitor sang her children to sleep with more effectiveness than any Ventari lullaby. Nor could Marcus have guessed that the Empress had already set in motion events that would forever change his life, his daughter's future, and potentially the relationship between their species. As Marcus dozed on the shuttle ride home, the Empress reviewed his personnel file in her private chambers. A single father, a former educator specializing in musical instruction for young humans, a widower struggling with debt from his mate's medical treatment. Empress Nala studied the genetic analysis that her medical team had rushed to compile from trace DNA left on the twins' blankets. The results confirmed what her trained ear had detected. Marcus Dean possessed a rare vocal harmonic pattern that resonated with Ventari neurological development. It was a 1 in millions genetic anomaly among humans, yet entirely wasted on menial labor. Prepare a formal request for reassignment, she instructed her chief diplomat. I require this human's services in a more suitable capacity. As you command, Empress, the diplomat replied. Shall we specify compensation? The Empress's gaze drifted to the sleeping twins. Determine what would constitute appropriate restitution for his mate's medical expenses. Offer triple that amount. Such generosity for a simple maintenance worker, Empress? Zolarix turned, her expression severe. That simple maintenance worker possesses a gift that could revolutionize our understanding of cross-species development. Moreover, he showed compassion and initiative when my children were in distress. The Ventari Empire rewards excellence wherever it appears, even in unexpected places. The diplomat bowed deeply. It shall be done, Empress. Meanwhile, blissfully unaware of the imperial attention focused on him, Marcus arrived home to his small apartment. He quietly entered, thanking Mrs. Patel who had stayed overnight with Lily. She was an angel, as always, the elderly woman assured him. Did you have a good shift with the aliens? Marcus smiled tiredly. Just another night pushing a mop, Mrs. Patel. Nothing special. He closed the door behind her, then went to Lily's room. His daughter was still asleep, her dark hair spread across the pillow, clutching the stuffed elephant that had been her companion since infancy. Marcus gently brushed a strand of hair from her face, his heart full. Time to make pancakes, he whispered, heading to the kitchen. In a few hours, his ordinary life would be completely upended by an imperial summons. But for now, he was simply a father preparing breakfast for his beloved daughter, humming the same lullaby that had soothed alien royalty to sleep. Daddy, can we have extra chocolate chips today? Lily asked, rubbing sleep from her eyes as she padded into the kitchen in her pajamas. Marcus smiled, already mixing the pancake batter. Good morning, sunshine. Extra chocolate chips coming right up. Lily climbed onto a stool at their small kitchen counter, watching as her father added a generous handful of chocolate chips to the batter. Did you see any cool aliens last night? Just the usual diplomats and staff, Marcus said, pouring batter onto the hot griddle. He decided not to mention the royal twins. Classified information about the Ventari royal family wasn't appropriate breakfast conversation for an 8-year-old. How was your night with Mrs. Patel? We watched a documentary about the Ventari homeworld, Lily said excitedly. Did you know their oceans are purple? And they have these huge flying creatures called sky whales that people can ride on. Marcus flipped a pancake. Is that right? Sounds like you're becoming quite the expert on alien biology. I want to be an exobiologist when I grow up, Lily declared with the confidence only children possess. Or maybe an ambassador. Or a space pilot. You can be anything you want, kiddo, Marcus said, sliding a plate of pancakes in front of her. As long as you eat your breakfast first. As they ate, Marcus fought to stay awake, the exhaustion of his night shift catching up with him. After dropping Lily off at school, he'd get a few hours of sleep before picking her up in the afternoon. It was a grueling schedule, but it allowed him to maximize his time with his daughter while earning enough to support them. The doorbell rang just as they were finishing breakfast. That's strange, Marcus muttered, glancing at the clock. It was barely 7:30 a.m. Finish up, Lily. We need to leave for school soon. He opened the door to find 2 humans in formal attire standing alongside a Ventari official in diplomatic regalia. Marcus Dean, the Ventari asked, voice melodic yet formal. Yes, Marcus replied, suddenly conscious of his worn t-shirt and sweatpants. I am Ambassador Telex, representing the Imperial House of Zolarix. May we enter? We have a matter of some importance to discuss. Marcus stood frozen for a moment before his manners kicked in. Of course, please come in. He stepped aside, heart racing. Had something happened after he left the twins? Was he in trouble after all? The 3 visitors entered the small apartment, the Ventari diplomat's head crest nearly brushing against the ceiling. Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway, eyes wide with excitement at seeing a Ventari up close. Lily, this is Ambassador Telex, and Marcus looked questioningly at the 2 humans. Jacob Moore and Diana Chun, from the Earth Ventari Diplomatic Corps, the woman supplied. Is this your daughter? Yes, this is Lily, Marcus said, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. Lily, why don't you go get ready for school while I talk to our guests? But Dad, she protested, eyes still fixed on the Ventari's iridescent skin and elaborate attire. Now, please, Marcus said firmly. Once Lily had reluctantly disappeared into her room, Marcus turned to his unexpected visitors. What's this about? If it's regarding last night with the twins, I can explain. Ambassador Telex raised a hand. You misunderstand, Mr. Dean. We are here at the direct request of Empress Nala Zolarix. Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. The Empress? I didn't realize. Few do, when they first meet her, Ambassador Telex said with what might have been amusement. Her Majesty was most impressed by your actions last night. You demonstrated compassion, initiative, and a unique ability that is of great interest to the imperial family. The female human diplomat, Diana, stepped forward. Mr. Dean, The Empress has authorized me to offer you a new position within the Ventari diplomatic mission. A new position? Marcus repeated, struggling to process what was happening. As cultural and developmental advisor to the royal nursery, Diana explained. The Empress believes your background in music education, combined with your evident rapport with her children, makes you uniquely qualified. Marcus stared at them in disbelief. You want me to be some kind of nanny to the royal twins? The position is considerably more prestigious than that, the male diplomat, Jacob, interjected. You would be responsible for introducing human cultural elements into the royal education program, with a particular focus on music and its developmental benefits. The Ventari have discovered that certain human vocal frequencies have beneficial neurological effects on their young. And my current job? Marcus asked, still stunned. Would no longer be necessary, Ambassador Telex stated. The compensation package for this new position is substantially more generous. Diana handed Marcus a tablet displaying a contract. As he scanned it, his eyes widened at the salary figure, nearly 10 times what he currently earned as a janitor. This can't be real, he whispered. I assure you, it is quite genuine, Ambassador Telex said. Additionally, the Empress has authorized full payment of your late wife's medical expenses. Marcus looked up sharply. How do you know about that? The Empress is thorough in her research, Mr. Dean, the ambassador replied. She understands the financial burden you have carried since your mate's passing. Consider it erased. Marcus sank into a chair, overwhelmed. The medical debt from Emma's cancer treatment had been a crushing weight, one he'd expected to carry for at least another decade. Why me? He finally asked. Surely there are trained musicians, professional educators. None with your particular vocal harmonic pattern, Ambassador Telex explained. Our analysis indicates your voice contains frequencies that specifically resonate with Ventari infant neurological development. It is exceedingly rare among humans. Combined with your background in education and your evident paternal instincts, you are uniquely qualified. Dad, Lily's voice came from the hallway. She had changed into her school clothes, but was clearly listening to the conversation. Are we going to live with the aliens? Marcus looked at his daughter, then at the diplomats. The position, would it allow me to keep caring for my daughter? The Empress specifically included family accommodations in the offer, Diana said. Lily would have access to the diplomatic school on the vessel, where children of various species study together. The education is exceptional, equivalent to the most prestigious private schools on Earth, with the added benefit of immersion in interspecies diplomacy. Lily's eyes lit up. We're going to live in space? With the aliens? Marcus ran a hand through his hair. This is happening very fast. I need time to think, to process all this. Of course, Ambassador Telex nodded. However, I must inform you that the Imperial shuttle departs at 1800 hours today. The Empress is relocating to the Ventari homeworld tomorrow, and she wishes for you to accompany the royal family. Today, Marcus exclaimed. That's impossible. We have a life here, belongings, Lily's school. All arrangements have been made, Jacob assured him. If you accept, a transition team will pack and transport your belongings. Lily's school records have already been requested for transfer to the Diplomatic Academy. Medical records, identification, everything needed for your relocation has been prepared, pending your acceptance. Marcus looked around their small apartment, the home he had shared with Emma, where they had raised Lily together, where he had mourned and struggled, and somehow kept going after losing his wife. Could he really leave it all behind? Dad, Lily said, approaching him with solemn eyes that sometimes seemed too old for her face. Mom would want us to go? She always said we should reach for the stars. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. Emma had been the dreamer in their relationship, always pushing them to take chances, to embrace adventure. How many times had she told him not to play it safe for her sake? We would be on another planet, he said softly to Lily, far from everything familiar. But together, Lily replied simply, taking his hand. Marcus looked up at the waiting diplomats. Can you give us a moment, please? They nodded and stepped outside the apartment. Marcus knelt to face his daughter. Lily, this is a huge decision. Our whole lives would change. Are you sure you're okay with that? You'd be leaving your friends, your school, everything you know. Lily's expression turned serious. Dad, you always look so tired. And sad, even when you try to hide it. Maybe this is our chance for something better. Like in the stories Mom used to tell me, about people who find magic doors to new worlds. Marcus hugged her tightly, marveling at her wisdom and courage. When did you get so smart, huh? I got it from Mom, she said matter-of-factly. She's still looking out for us. I think she sent the aliens. Marcus laughed through his tears. Maybe she did, kiddo. Maybe she did. When the diplomats returned, Marcus had made his decision. We accept, he said, signing the contract. But I have conditions. Lily's education and well-being come first. And I want to understand exactly what's expected of me in this role. The Empress anticipated your concerns, Ambassador Telek said, producing another tablet. This outlines the educational curriculum for your daughter, including continued studies in human subjects alongside interspecies courses. As for your duties, they are primarily focused on daily musical sessions with the royal twins, advisory input on their developmental program, and serving as a cultural liaison between human and Ventari childcare approaches. Marcus scanned the document, impressed by its thoroughness. The educational program offered to Lily was beyond anything he could have provided on Earth, and his own role seemed well-defined and reasonable. Then we have a deal, he said, feeling a curious mixture of terror and exhilaration. When do we leave? A transport will arrive at 1,600 hours to collect you and your daughter, Diana explained. Pack only what you need for a few days. Your belongings will follow within the week. After the diplomats left, Marcus called Lily's school to explain their sudden withdrawal, then contacted his supervisor at the maintenance company to resign. Each conversation felt surreal, as if he were describing someone else's life change rather than his own. Are we really going to live in space, Dad? Lily asked as they packed small suitcases with essential items. Not just space, kiddo. Eventually, we'll go to the Ventari homeworld, Marcus replied, still struggling to believe it himself. It's called Venter Prime. It has 3 moons and purple oceans. And sky whales, Lily added excitedly. Do you think they'll let me ride one? Marcus laughed. Let's tackle one impossible thing at a time, okay? By 4 p.m., they stood in their apartment surrounded by hastily packed bags, looking around at the home they were leaving behind. Marcus felt a pang as he gazed at the photos on the wall. Emma's smile frozen in time, their wedding day, Lily's birth, family vacations that now seemed from another lifetime. We're not leaving Mom behind, Lily said, noticing his expression. She's coming with us. She pointed to her backpack, where she had carefully packed a framed photo of Emma. Marcus kissed the top of her head. You're right. She'll always be with us, wherever we go. The transport arrived precisely at 4 p.m., a sleek diplomatic shuttle that drew curious stares from neighbors as Marcus and Lily boarded with their bags. As the craft rose through Earth's atmosphere, Lily pressed her face against the window, watching her home planet shrink beneath them. It looks so small, she whispered, like a blue marble. Marcus put his arm around her, remembering how he'd had the same thought just last night, never imagining how drastically his life was about to change. That's our home, Lily, and we'll come back to visit someday. But now we're going to have 2 homes, she said with a child's easy acceptance of the extraordinary. Earth and Venter Prime. The shuttle docked with the massive Ventari diplomatic vessel several hours later. They were escorted through gleaming corridors far more opulent than the maintenance sections Marcus was familiar with, eventually arriving at spacious quarters that would now be their home. These are your accommodations, their guide explained. The royal nursery is 1 level above. You will begin your duties tomorrow, after you've had time to settle in. The apartment was easily 5 times the size of their Earth home, with panoramic views of space, furnishings adjusted for human comfort, and technology that made Marcus dizzy just looking at it. Lily ran from room to room, exclaiming over each new discovery. Dad, my room has a star projector in the ceiling. And look at this bathroom. The tub fills from the bottom up. Marcus smiled at her excitement, though his own emotions were more complicated. Everything was happening so fast, and despite the extraordinary opportunity, he couldn't help feeling a tremor of doubt. Was he really qualified for this position? What if he failed? What if this wasn't the right choice for Lily? A chime sounded, indicating someone at the door. Marcus opened it to find a Ventari female, not the Empress, but clearly someone of importance based on her elaborate attire. "Marcus Dean," she said with a formal bow. "I am Cirilla, first caretaker to the royal heirs. The Empress requests your presence in the royal nursery." Marcus glanced back at Lily, who had appeared in the hallway behind him. "My daughter will be well cared for," Cirilla assured him. "An orientation guide has been assigned to help her explore the diplomatic school facilities." A young human woman stepped forward, smiling warmly at Lily. "Hi there. I'm Eliza. Would you like to see where you'll be going to school? There are 3 other human children your age, plus kids from 4 other species." Lily looked to Marcus for permission, her eyes pleading. He nodded. "Go ahead, sunshine. I'll be back soon." As Lily left with her guide, Marcus followed Cirilla to the royal nursery. His maintenance uniform had been replaced with simple but elegant clothing provided in his new quarters, though he still felt out of place among the splendor of the royal section. The nursery was a marvel of alien design, organic shapes, living plants that responded to touch, and subtle lighting that shifted to mimic natural cycles. In the center, the twin heirs floated in their hover crib, attended by 2 caretakers. And beside them stood Empress Nalazolorix. Marcus bowed deeply, as he'd been instructed by Cirilla on their way. "Your Majesty." "Marcus Dean," the Empress acknowledged. "My children have been restless since your departure. Their neurological patterns show elevated stress compared to after your musical intervention." Marcus straightened, surprised by her directness. "They probably just need time to adjust to the environmental changes, Your Majesty." "Perhaps," she replied. "Or perhaps they respond specifically to your presence. Would you demonstrate your lullaby again?" Marcus hesitated only briefly before approaching the twins. They seemed to recognize him, their large amber eyes following his movements, their skin shifting to a lighter blue-green hue. "Hello again, little ones," he said softly, and began to sing the same lullaby from the night before. The effect was immediate. The twins settled, their breathing synchronized to his voice, their skin taking on a peaceful glow. The Empress watched intently, her expression unreadable to human eyes. When Marcus finished, the twins were calm but awake, making soft cooing sounds. "Fascinating," the Empress said. "Tell me, Marcus Dean, did you compose this song?" "Parts of it," he admitted. "The beginning is traditional, a lullaby humans have sung for centuries. But I added verses for my daughter when she was small. The emotional resonance is evident in those sections," the Empress observed. "Our scientists believe this creates harmonic overtones that Ventari infants find particularly soothing." "I'm not sure I understand the science, Your Majesty," Marcus said honestly. "I just know what worked for my daughter." The Empress moved closer, towering over him. "My kind has studied humans since we first detected your radio signals centuries ago. You are a contradictory species, capable of both tremendous cruelty and extraordinary compassion. In you, Marcus Dean, I see evidence of the latter." "I'm just a father who knows what it's like to comfort a crying child," he said simply. "Indeed. And that simplicity may be precisely what my children require." She gestured to the twins. "The heirs of House Zolorix will one day rule in empires spanning 18 star systems. Their development must be carefully guided, not just their intellect, but their capacity for empathy, for understanding the needs of those unlike themselves." Marcus began to understand the deeper purpose behind his appointment. "You want them to learn from humans." "From you," the Empress corrected. "A human who places the well-being of offspring above status or protocol, who sees need and responds with kindness, regardless of species. These are qualities I wish my children to develop." "I'll do my best, Your Majesty," Marcus promised, "though I'm still not sure I'm qualified for such an important role." The Empress made a gesture that Cirilla translated as the Ventari equivalent of a smile. "Your doubt is precisely what qualifies you, Marcus Dean. Those most certain of their abilities are often least suited to nurture the next generation. As Marcus departed the nursery, his mind reeled with the implications of his new position. He wasn't just a music teacher or caretaker. He was being asked to help shape the character of future rulers of a vast interstellar empire. He found Lily in their new quarters, bubbling with excitement about the diplomatic school. "Dad, they have a room where you can experience gravity from different planets. And I met a kid from a species called the Katori who can change the color of their skin like a chameleon. And the cafeteria has food synthesizers that can make anything you want." Marcus smiled, her enthusiasm easing his own anxieties. "Sounds like you've had quite the adventure already. Are you going to teach the alien babies?" Lily asked. "The ones you sang to?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "How did you know about that?" Lily rolled her eyes in the way only children can. "Dad, everyone's talking about it. You're famous. The human who sang alien royalty to sleep." Marcus groaned. "Great. Just what I need." "It's cool, Dad," Lily insisted. "And guess what? My new friend Talia says her mom works in xenolinguistics, and she says Ventari babies almost never respond to other species." "You're special." "I'm just being me, kiddo," Marcus said, though her words stirred something in him, a sense of purpose he hadn't felt since his teaching days, before Emma's illness and the struggles that followed. That night, as Lily slept in her new room beneath a ceiling projection of Earth's night sky, Marcus stood by the viewport gazing at the stars. Somewhere among them was Venter Prime, their future home. And somewhere else, far beyond, was Emma, the woman who had always believed in him, who had made him promise to keep living fully after she was gone. "I'm trying, Em," he whispered to the stars. "I'm trying to be brave, like you always were." In the days that followed, Marcus settled into his new role, developing a curriculum that combined human music with Ventari developmental principles. The royal twins, named Telos and Vela, grew increasingly responsive to his sessions, their language acquisition accelerating beyond typical Ventari development. Lily thrived in the diplomatic school, absorbing languages and sciences with the effortless adaptability of childhood. She made friends across species and often visited the nursery to help her father, showing a natural affinity for interspecies communication that impressed even the Ventari specialists. 6 months after their arrival on Venter Prime, Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city, its crystalline spires gleaming in the light of 3 moons. Lily was asleep inside their palatial quarters, exhausted from a school expedition to ride the famed sky whales earlier that day. "Your offspring appears to have adapted well," came the Empress's voice behind him. Marcus turned, no longer startled by her ability to appear silently. "She's resilient, like her mother was." "And you, Marcus Dean? Have you found purpose in your new role?" Marcus considered the question. "I have, Your Majesty, though I still have moments where I wonder if I'm doing enough, teaching the right things." "Such is the nature of parenthood across all species," the Empress observed. "The constant questioning, the fear of failure." She looked toward the city, where millions of her subjects live their lives. "I rule an empire, yet raising my children well is the task that most daunts me." "Because it matters more than anything else," Marcus said simply. "Indeed." The Empress turned to him. "The royal physicians report that Telos and Vela show unprecedented development in empathic recognition, the ability to sense and respond to the emotional states of others. They attribute this to your influence." Marcus smiled. "They're good kids. Smart, curious. They want to understand others. A trait that will serve them well as rulers," the Empress said. "Marcus Dean, I have a proposition for you." "Another one, Your Majesty?" "The last one changed my life completely." The Empress made her gesture smile again. "Perhaps this one will merely enhance it. I wish to establish an interspecies development academy here on Venter Prime, with you as its director. A place where the young of many species can learn together, as your Lily does at the diplomatic school, but expanded to include children from all walks of life, not just diplomatic families." Marcus stared at her in shock. "You want me to run an entire school?" "Your Majesty, I'm just..." A music teacher who became a janitor who became advisor to royal heirs, she finished for him. Your journey itself is the lesson, Marcus Dean. That worth is not determined by station, that compassion transcends species, that a simple lullaby can bridge worlds. Marcus looked out at the alien city that had somehow become home, thinking of the small apartment on Earth that had once seemed the limit of his possibilities. He thought of Emma, who had always believed he was capable of more than he imagined for himself. I'll need help, he said finally. A lot of it. You shall have it, the Empress promised. And your daughter shall have a place of honor as the first student, the human child who helped teach an empire the value of harmony. 1 year later, Marcus stood before the assembled dignitaries at the grand opening of the Interspecies Development Academy. Beside him stood Lily, now 10 years old and fluent in 3 alien languages, proudly wearing the school uniform she had helped design. In the front row sat Empress Nalazolorix with the royal twins, now developed enough to attend formal functions briefly. Beyond them were representatives from 12 species, all sending children to learn at the academy that had grown from a janitor's lullaby. Welcome, Marcus began, his voice carrying across the grand hall. Today we open not just a school, but a bridge between worlds. A place where differences are celebrated, where harmony is created from diverse voices, and where the future of interspecies cooperation will be nurtured. He glanced at Lily, who gave him an encouraging nod. This academy exists because an empress was wise enough to listen when a janitor sang, and brave enough to envision a new kind of education based on what she heard. It exists because a little girl from Earth wasn't afraid to reach for the stars. And it exists because somewhere, on a blue planet in a distant system, a woman once taught me that love transcends all boundaries, even the vast distances between worlds. Marcus looked up at the soaring architecture of the academy, designed to accommodate students of all species and abilities. In this place, we will learn each other's songs. We will create new harmonies together. And someday, the children who learn here will lead us toward a future more peaceful and more beautiful than we can imagine. As the ceremony concluded, Telos and Vela approached Marcus, now able to walk on their own, their iridescent skin shimmering with excitement. Teacher Marcus, they said in unison, using the title they had invented for him, will you sing the star song? Marcus smiled, kneeling to their level. For you too? Always. As he began the familiar lullaby, other voices joined in. Lily, then some of the human dignitaries who recognized the tune, then alien voices adding harmonies and tones no human could produce. The impromptu chorus filled the hall, each species contributing to the melody in their own way, creating something entirely new and unexpectedly beautiful. In that moment, Marcus felt Emma's presence more strongly than he had since her death, not as a ghost or spirit, but as the culmination of all she had believed about humanity's potential for connection and growth. She had always seen the best in him, had pushed him to share his gifts with the world. Now those gifts had carried him and Lily across the stars to build something that would outlast them both. And that was the end of the story. If you listened all the way to here, don't forget to leave feedback about what you thought of the story in the comments, whether positive or negative. Your feedback helps us improve. Also leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. And I'll leave here on the screen another video that I'm sure you'll like. Big hug and see you in the next story.